The sun hung low over the vast Montana plains, casting a golden hue across the endless fields of grass that swayed like whispers in the wind. Eleanor Thompson, Ellie, as her friends back east called Kira, stepped off the dusty stagecoach, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and fear. She clutched her worn carpet bag, the only remnant of her old life in Boston. At 25, she had answered an advertisement for a mail-order bride, seeking escape from the city's suffocating factories and her family's endless debts. But as she scanned the horizon, a knot tightened in her stomach. This wasn't the Weston Ranch she had been promised. No, the sign at the gate read Harlan Ranch in faded letters. She was in the wrong place. Ellie stood there for a moment, the wind tugging at her simple blue dress, its hem frayed from the long journey. The air smelled of earth and distant train, a far cry from the coal smoke she knew so well. She had imagined this moment 100 times, meeting her intended, Mr. Elias Weston, a prosperous rancher who wrote of wide open spaces and a quiet life. His letters had been kind, if brief, promising stability and perhaps, in time, affection. But now, as the stagecoach rumbled away, leaving her alone on the dirt road, doubt crept in like shadows at dusk. Had the driver made a mistake? Or worse, had she? A figure emerged from the ranch house ahead, a tall man in weather jeans and a faded shirt, his hat tipped back to reveal a face lined by sun and sorrow. He approached slowly, his boots kicking up small clouds of dust. Behind him, peeking from the doorway, was a small girl with braids as golden as the fields, her eyes wide and curious. "Can I help you, ma'am?" the man asked, his voice deep and steady, like the roll of thunder far off. Ellie straightened her shoulders, forcing a smile. "I'm Eleanor Thompson. I think there might be a mix-up. I'm supposed to be at the Weston Ranch. Mr. Elias Weston sent for me." The man's brow furrowed, and he removed his hat, revealing dark hair streaked with gray. "Name's Jacob Harlan. Weston Ranch is about 10 miles west of here. Must have been a wrong turn." He glanced back at the girl, who stepped closer, her small hand clutching a rag doll. "This is my daughter, Lily. She's 7. Lily stared up at Ellie with eyes as blue as a summer sky, unblinking and full of something Ellie couldn't quite place, a wonder, perhaps, or longing. The child didn't speak at first, just tilted her head, as if measuring Ellie's worth. Jacob cleared his throat. "Well, ma'am, it's getting late. Can't have you out here alone. Come inside, we'll sort this out. I can ride you over to Weston's in the morning." Ellie hesitated, but the exhaustion from days of travel won out. She nodded and followed them into the modest ranch house. The interior was simple, a wooden table scarred from years of use, a stone fireplace with embers glowing softly, and walls adorned with faded photographs of a woman who must have been Jacob's wife. The air carried the faint scent of baked bread and lavender, remnants of a home that once knew fuller laughter. As they sat for a simple supper of stew and cornbread, Jacob explained his life in quiet tones. His wife, Sarah, had passed 3 years ago from a fever, leaving him to raise Lily alone. The ranch was small, just enough cattle to get by, but the work was endless. "It's been hard," he admitted, his fork pausing midair. "Lily. She doesn't talk much since her mama went, whispers sometimes, but mostly keeps to herself." Ellie glanced at the girl, who picked at her food silently. There was a fragility to Lily, like a flower blooming in rocky soil. Ellie felt a pain in her chest. Her own childhood had been marked by loss, her mother gone too soon, leaving her to care for younger siblings. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I know what it's like to miss someone." That night, as Ellie settled into the spare room with its quilted bed and window overlooking the starry plains, she couldn't sleep. The house creaked gently in the wind, a soothing rhythm that invited reflection. She thought of Elias Weston, a stranger whose letters promised security but stirred no warmth in her heart. Here, in this wrong place, she felt an unexpected pull, a sense of being needed, not just wanted. The next morning dawned crisp and clear, the sky a canvas of soft pinks and oranges. Ellie rose early, helping Jacob with breakfast out of habit. She cracked eggs into a bowl, her movements deliberate and calm, while Lily watched from the corner, her doll clutched tight. As Ellie poured coffee, the girl tugged at her skirt. Ellie knelt down, meeting Lily's gaze. "What is it, sweetheart?" Lily leaned in close, her breath warm against Ellie's ear. "God finally sent you to us," she whispered, her voice so soft it might have been the wind. Ellie's heart skipped. She glanced at Jacob, who stood frozen by the stove, his eyes widening in surprise. It was the most Lily had spoken in months, he later confessed. The words hung in the air, simple yet profound, like a prayer answered in the quiet of dawn. As the day unfolded, Ellie decided to delay her departure, just until noon, she told herself, but noon stretched into afternoon. She helped Jacob mend the fence, her hands blistering on the wire, but the work felt purposeful. The ranch was alive with subtle sounds, the lowing of cattle in the distance, the rustle of leaves in the cottonwood trees, the occasional whinny of horses in the corral. Jacob shared stories of the land, how his grandfather had homesteaded it, fighting blizzards and droughts to build something lasting. His voice was measured, each word chosen with care, revealing a man shaped by hardship yet unbroken. Lily followed Ellie like a shadow, her silence now laced with small gestures. A flower picked from the garden, pressed into Ellie's palm, a drawing of a family, stick figures under a big sun. Ellie found herself responding in kind, reading to the girl from an old book of fairy tales, her voice low and steady, pausing at the end of each sentence to let the words settle. But tension simmered beneath the calm. Ellie knew she couldn't stay forever. Elias Weston awaited, his claim on her as binding as the contract she had signed. Rumors in town, Jacob mentioned over lunch, spoke of Weston as a hard man, more interested in land than love. He's expanded his ranch twice in the last year, Jacob said, stirring his soup slowly. Ambitious, they say. Ellie felt a conflict brewing inside her. This place, with its gentle rhythms and unspoken needs, tugged at her soul, yet duty called her westward. As evening approached, she packed her bag, her movements heavy with reluctance. Jacob offered to hitch the wagon, his face etched with quiet regret. "You're welcome back anytime," he said, avoiding her eyes. Lily, sensing the shift, clung to Ellie's leg. "Don't go," she whispered, louder this time, her eyes brimming with tears. Ellie knelt again, brushing a braid from the girl's face. "I have to, Lily, but I'll remember you." The child shook her head fiercely. "You're supposed to be here, with us." Jacob stepped forward, his hand resting gently on Lily's shoulder. "She's right, you know," he said, his voice cracking just a fraction. "Not about God, maybe I ain't one to presume on that, but this mix-up, it don't feel like a mistake anymore." Ellie looked up, searching his face. There was no grand declaration, no rush of passion, just a steady gaze, honest and warm, like the sun warming the earth after a long winter. In that moment, the twist unfolded gently. The wrong ranch wasn't wrong at all. It was a detour crafted by fate, or perhaps something higher, leading her to where she truly belonged. She set her bag down, the decision settling over her like a soft blanket. "What if I stayed?" she asked, her words tentative yet sure. "Just to see if this could be home." Jacob's smile was slow, lighting his eyes. "I'd like that. We'd like that." The days that followed blurred into a tapestry of quiet joys and shared labors. Ellie wrote to Elias Weston, explaining the error with polite finality, enclosing the fare he had sent. He responded curtly, wishing her well, his ambitions turning elsewhere. On the Harlan Ranch, life bloomed anew. Ellie taught Lily to bake apple pies, the kitchen filling with the sweet scent of cinnamon, laughter echoing where silence once reigned. Jacob opened up about his grief, sharing memories of Sarah under the stars, his hand brushing Ellie's in the dark. One evening, as autumn leaves turned the plains to rust and gold, they sat on the porch, Lily asleep in Ellie's lap. The world felt vast yet intimate, the horizon stretching endlessly. "I came here by accident," Ellie murmured, "but I stayed by choice." Jacob nodded, his arm around her shoulders. "And we're better for it. You brought light back to this place." Lily stirred, whispering in her sleep, "God sent you." Ellie smiled, tears pricking her eyes. In the quiet pauses of their new life, she found not just love, but purpose, a family forged not from plans, but from whispers and wrong turns. As the stars wheeled overhead, Ellie reflected on the journey. Life's paths weren't always straight. Sometimes, the detours led to the truest destinations. And in that insight, she found peace. If the story touched you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that mistakes can lead to miracles. Or better yet, Whisper your own thanks to the winds of fate.